Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Little Ranch on the Prairie. My name is Sune. Welcome to my outdoor workshop. It's finally spring. The weather is amazing. It's a plus 7 degrees Celsius day today. Apart from the wind that is kind of ruining everything again, as it would be when you live on the prairies. But it's still nice outside. Not quite cocktail beach weather yet, but I think it will be here soon. I think today is a great opportunity, though, to work outside and get a few wood projects done. So on today's agenda, I am planning on making a soap mold and a soap cutter. Now, my plan is to make my own tallow soap, which I have not done yet because I have no mold and I also don't have a cutter. And I don't plan on spending $50 on Amazon when I can very easily make it myself. So I got some inspiration on Amazon. I will share the picture with you. Pretty cool because it actually gives you measurements as well. Yeah, it gives you the measurements of the inside measurements of the mold and also the inside and outside measurements of the cutter. And I mean, this looks really easy to make. So we're going to give it a try today and see how it goes. I have my saws ready. I have my sander here. I have my mask because my nose is very sensitive and I struggle with allergies 365 days a year, although I've been doing pretty well lately. But I'm not going to deliberately go and flare it up. So when I work with the wood, I'm going to wear my mask. I actually ordered myself one of these, but with like the full shield face masks on Amazon, which I'm still waiting for. Because in all honesty, I actually don't like the wood dust to go into my eyeballs either. But for today, this will work. This will do the job. So the first thing we're going to have to do is start measuring. Now we have a pretty nice and very sturdy 2x6 here that my husband pulled out from somewhere. I'm going to use this as the base. I'm going to use it as the base for the cutter and also the base for my mold. It's very sturdy. For the mold, I might have to trim this down a little bit. We'll see how I do that. But I think, yeah, you will probably do both of them together and in between and get everything measured and cut first. This plank here is a 1x12 and it's going to be perfect for the sides of the cutter and the sides of the mold. And the nice thing is, because it's already 12 inches in width, I can just cut strips, which is very simple and easy to do. All right, let's get started. So I think I'm going to start by measuring the sides of the soap mold. Now, the average size of the inside of the soap mold is anything from 2.7 inches to 3 inches height and width, and the length is just slightly over 10 inches to take into consideration the bit of offcut that you will have. Now, to make it easy and simple, I'm going to make it 3x3 by 11. I think that's gonna work pretty well. Yeah. So to start, to know how high I need to make the sides, because although I might actually have to make the mold out of this bottom and not use this as a bottom for the mold, because I think it's gonna make it easier. Yeah, it's definitely gonna make it easier. Okay, let's get the width of this first. So, I mean, when you buy this thing, they say it's a 1x12, but I mean, it's milled down, and after they have done all that work, it's never exactly 1 inch anymore. So the exact width of this is 75.75 inches. Good grief, 0.75. So that means if I want the sides of my mold to go from top to bottom with the bottom sitting on the insides of the sides, then I will have to make the sides 3.75. And since the bottom is going to be sitting inside, I will be making that exactly 3 inches. I am tempted though to see, I wonder if I have to make an extra cut here on the side. But maybe if I use this as one of the side panels, like the side here of the plank, because I don't exactly know if it's 100% straight and 90 degrees. I will start with the sides of the plank. Okay, so my first measurement of 3.75. Take my square, see if that comes together. Yeah, see the edge of this plank is not 100% 90 degrees. So thank goodness for a square, but it's such a tiny, it's almost like a millimeter difference, so it's not a big deal. If you hear that noise, that's the compressor that just turned on. So a little tip from myself, when I cut, I try to let the inside of my line that I measured sit here on the inside of the blade. I don't let the blade sit in the middle of the line, otherwise I'm actually going to lose a part of my measurement. So I'm actually gonna have to unplug this before I cut my hand off. Hold on. All right, I made a line again so you can see. So the line should move in a little bit, like back, not in, back. It's a little difficult when you have one hand to work with because you're filming. All right, that actually looks pretty good. So can you see the edge of this blade is touching the line? It's not in the center of the blade. That way, if it's sitting on the inside or on the edge of the blade, you're not going to lose any of the extra material that you actually measured, so it will come out more accurate than it would have if you just cut down the center of the of the line. That's just my little piece of advice. That's how I do it. I have my pieces cut for my mold. It's actually not so hard, not so bad, especially when you have the right size plank to use. So, here are my two sides. Here is my bottom. And here are my insides, like such. There you go. I think this is going to work really well. Holy, who needs to pay 50 bucks? Look at that. Now I just need to nail it together. Oops. I just need to nail this together. But this is perfect. And now what I'll do, because I don't have the silicone liner, I will just line it with parchment paper before I put in my soap to solidify. This is very exciting. This is so very exciting. Yes. It's really not that hard to make. Let's see if this works better. Yes, that is better. Okay. Awesome. Let's put this one together, and I think I'm going to make a second mold, just in case. Since this is going to be the first time I'm making soap, I'm not exactly sure what my measurements and things will be like. So I'd rather have two molds and be ready than just have one mold and regret not having everything I need. And I think maybe what I'll do before I nail this together is I'll just sand this down and smooth out the edges, and then we'll get nailing. And it's actually a pretty wood too. Like, this is such a pretty mold. Actually, way prettier than Amazon's molds, and sturdier. But first, if I use my brain correctly, I'm gonna cut more pieces for a second mold. Then I just sand in one go. Here goes. That actually went really quickly. So now I have all my parts cut for my two molds. And while I'm cutting, and it is actually such a messy job before I start sanding, let's make work of the soap cutter. Now the nice thing is with the soap cutter, how wide it is, if the width is perfect or not, that doesn't really matter. As long as you just make sure that your height is high enough so that the cutter is slightly higher than the actual bar of soap is. And what else do we need to remember? The side panels that goes on the bottom of the soap cutter will be sitting on the outside. Same principle as actually how I made the molds, because we're going to cut grooves into this soap cutter. Yeah, so we need to make sure the sides sit on, or the side panels sit on the side of the bottom panel, so that when the grooves are cut in, the bottom piece of the wood remains uncut and keeps it all together. Otherwise, your whole cutter is going to fall apart. So let's start with the bottom. The bottom. The molds are not exactly like 10 inches long, it's slightly longer, because I'm not going to cut down the wood panel to make it perfectly 10 inches. You always have to take into account the edges of the soap. That's going to be some soap wastage. So this is about 10.5. So I think if I just, to make it really easy and simple, cut a 12-inch piece of this for the bottom, that will be more than sufficient. And that means it will fit perfectly well with the 12-foot width of these planks. So I don't have to cut anything down here either. And let's see, this thing is 2 by 6, but we know it's never exactly 2. There you go. 1.5 inch plus the 3 inches on the inside is 4.5 inches. I'm going to cut these side panels 5 inches. So that means there's like an extra 1/2 inch at the top above the soap, so that when you put your blade in, you can kind of measure the blade, or like press it up against the groove of the wood before it even touches the bar of soap, before you cut. And then we're going to have to put an end on one of the sides. Now, what I'm tempted to do is, if the edge of this cutter is not exactly 5 inches high, I don't think that's going to be a train smash. I have these 2 little offcuts now from the little 2 side cuts that I made for my 2 molds. I'm going to take one of these and cut it off just the tiniest little bit. Like it's almost the perfect length to match the width of this bottom panel. I'm just going to cut it down a tiny little bit, and it will be the perfect edge on this panel to stop the soap from not, falling off the other side, so you can press it up against that. This is more than sufficient. I don't need to cut an extra piece. We're going to start with the bottom panel first. So 12 feet. And before I cut that, I'll just measure my 2 5-inch panels, or at least one. I have to measure them one at a time. I'll measure the one, and then I can cut that, cut one panel, measure the other one, cut that. Okay, I think I'm gonna put on the 150 grit. 220 is just sounds like too much work for me. It's gonna take too long. I think 150 is good enough. I just want to smooth out the edges so we can get this nailed together. And then once everything is nailed together, the very, very last step for the soap cutter, and my husband's going to help me with that, is to put it through the table saw to cut in the grooves that we're going to cut the soap with. My goodness, that's a tedious job. A necessary evil. I mean, sanding is quite satisfying, but man, it takes forever. But at least it's done now. Thank goodness. Now we can get to the fun part, and it's nailing this together. Okay, let's start the cutter, because I'm quite excited for this one. How shall we do this? That works. Now at least we'll stay put so I can put in the rest of the nails. Okay, once that is on, that's awesome. Okay. Oopsie. That one went in a little bit on the skew side. Yeah, we'll have to, maybe I'll just ask my husband to grind this out. Let's see. I go grab a hammer. There you go. Good enough. Just like our farm. Good enough. Everything's good enough. Not perfect, but functional. And gets the job done. Okay. Those are pretty sturdy sides. You know what I need? I need to go grab myself a clamp. Yeah, it's way easier than trying to hold that together with my body. It's a little bit of an overkill. But I don't know where the shorter clamps are, so this will just have to do. Just want to make sure before I nail this back piece in that it's nice and tight between the two sides, because the nail gun doesn't have the same effect like a screw does. So it will not bring the pieces together. It will just shoot right through, and if there was a gap, the gap's going to still stay there. And I don't want that gap. I'm going to try and close up that gap. This should do the job. Shall we? I think I actually heard that. Yeah, there it is. This time it's in. Okay, other side. It's quite hard to work left-handed when you're not a lefty. There you go. Okay. Take two. Woo! Yes! Love it. This is awesome. I am very happy with this. Mold. Moldy mold. I will do the two sides, the little two side pieces first, or put it upside down and nail the bottoms together. Just have to make sure. You know, I have to say, I'm actually pretty impressed with myself for the handiwork that I did. It actually came out pretty good. I guess I could also use wood glue. That would also help my life and make it easier, but that is now just one extra step that this tired me does not care to do. I just now want to nail this thing and get it done. Okay, we have something nailed. Yes. I still have to do that side, which I will do shortly. Okay. This one didn't go in so nicely. I will hammer this one in shortly. But let's nail this in here. Once you have a plan, figure it out, it is slightly quicker. Okay, I'm just gonna nail the top of this because this one also needs to be nailed in. That one also didn't go in too nicely. Oh, yes. Let's try this. Put the flat side on it. That worked. That worked. Oopsie. There you go. Mold number 1 is done. Haha. Let's measure it. 3 by 3 by 10.5. Perfect. Second mold. And then comes hubby's job. There you go. Mold number 2 done. I will show you a close-up when we're done cutting the cutter. But hold on, I need to take you off the stand and take you to the other saw. So I'll be with you now. So if I make soap in my mold, the whole bar of soap is going to be 10.5 inches long, which means if each bar of soap is 1 inch long, there's going to be a 1/2 inch of offcut. But the offcut is necessary because let's say you want to sell the soap, then the 2 ends of the soap needs to be cut off to make sure that all your bars look exactly the same all throughout. So on this end, we're going to cut in a groove so that there's like a 1/4 inch space, so that when I put the bar in, the first cut I'm going to make is going to be a 1/4 inch cut. And then I'm going to put in a whole bunch of 1 inch cuts, a bunch, meaning 10 of them, because I'm going to cut 10 bars of soap. And then the last one will just be a 1/4 inch cut off automatically all by itself. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to let my husband do the cutting now. The first cut has been made. We have a teensy-weensy little problem, like because the table saw has been pushed out to the like the furthest it can go. And as you can see, there's this tiny little piece where it didn't quite go down all the way to the bottom. And so we were just thinking about ways that we can fix that, but my husband just suggested a very good thing is when I cut my soap, then I just put like a silicone pad or a very thin pad of some sort on the bottom, and that should make up for that little gap there. Yeah, there you go, where it's like not quite touching the bottom, and that should be good enough to help me give the soap a clean cut. So now we're going to make the 1 inch cut, meaning from where the 1/4 inch cut was made, we measured it to be 1 inch in now. Here are the end results. My 2 molds. I'm pretty impressed with how they came out. I mean, I'm by no means a professional woodworker, but it sure is fun to put together your own things and make something with your own hands and feel proud about it. And this was not so hard to do. I think the most time-consuming part of this whole job was the sanding. But there we go. I'm pretty chuffed with how this came out. Look at that. So, apart from the little gaps there, I think I'll take my husband's advice and get a little mat or something of some sort that I can put on the bottom and then let the soap rest on it. I am very happy with how this came out, and I can't wait to use this and try it. It's very sturdy. This is not going to easily break. I'm so grateful for my husband that helped me. This is awesome. So if you clicked on this video and you watched throughout the whole thing and you came this far, thank you so much for watching and for joining me in all my projects that I try and get done here on the farm or on the homestead. Please let me know what you think about this. Would you go through all the effort of making your own soap molds and your own soap cutter? Or would you just say, stuff it, my time is worth way more than that. I'll just spend the $50 on Amazon and get myself the proper molds and the proper cutter with all the extra bits and pieces that you need with it. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.